My girlfriend never existed, and I still miss her. I know how it sounds. I know I sound crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not. About 2 years ago, I was at a bar with my friends. I don't tend to go out and drink. I don't like clubs or raves or big events with loud music. I like people and socializing, but generally in a more relaxed environment, like a house party or something. However, I was convinced to go out by one of my close friends, Andrew. He was cheated on by his girlfriend about a week prior, and he lived by the philosophy of, to get over someone, you must get under someone new. I never understood that mentality, but since he was there for my last breakup, I thought I'd be there for his. I spent most of the night sipping on cheap whiskey I overpaid for in the back, watching my friend talk to this girl he'd been trying to impress with his dance moves that seemed to imitate the dance of a bird looking for a mate. Strangely enough, it seemed to be working. I wasn't really looking to find a girl myself. After my last relationship ended, I kinda swore off dating. Not really because it ended poorly, we are still friends, vaguely. Just too much to deal with emotionally at this point in my life. I felt like I needed to be by myself for a while longer, to figure out who I am and what I truly want. Until that night, when what I truly wanted accidentally bumped into me, spilling her drink all over me. I looked up and I saw her. She was panicking and apologizing about spilling her gin and tonic all over me, but I was just trying to catch my breath after she stole it with her eyes. I mean, this girl was gorgeous. Not supermodel status or anything, but just something about her. She felt like the girl next door you'd have a crush on in elementary school when you first started to discover that girls don't have cooties, and if they did, it was worth getting. I remember this night vividly, like it happened yesterday. It was all so surreal. After the general apologies that were shared, her for making my white button-up with rose designs all over it soaked, and me for, well, I don't know what I apologized for. I just felt like I should say sorry for breathing the same air as she did. She finally asked me my name. Desmond. Hey, Desmond. My name's Mary. We proceeded to talk all night. She was wonderful. She was a psychology major in her final year of her bachelor's course, planning on getting her PhD and minoring in philosophy. She loved hiking, dogs, smoking weed, kids' cartoons. Her favorite thing to do, she said, was taking walks at night. She said it was just the perfect time to do so. Everyone's asleep, so it feels like the world is yours and just yours. She was funny in a witty, pun way. We talked so long my friend's dance moves finally got the girl he'd been talking to all night. He came up to tell me he was leaving and he'd give me a ride home if I wanted, but I told him, no thanks, I'll just walk home. I'm enjoying my time. Mary and I went on a walk that night until the sun came up. I swear I was already in love. We shared phone numbers and set up a coffee date in a couple of days. Months went by, and everything was going perfectly. Since I worked weekends and she went to school weekdays, the only time we could hang out was at nights. We watched movies at the theater, went on walks, cooked dinner at my place. We never went over to her apartment. She said she lived in one of those 4-bedroom places with 4 random people where everyone shares a common room and kitchen but pays for their individual room as rent. At nights, they would throw parties filled with drunk college kids, or they'd be up late in the common room studying with each other, so it was always my place we'd go to. She always had issues with her roommates, so I wasn't ever going to push to go over there, because frankly, based on her stories, I wouldn't like them much either. After about a year of dating, little over a year ago, she randomly knocked on my door. She was supposed to be studying for her midterms with her roommates, so I wasn't expecting her, but I gladly let her in. She was crying something fierce. I quickly sat her down and asked her what happened while making her favorite caramel tea we get at a local tea shop. She explained to me that she and her roommates got into a massive fight, and she had to get out of there. She talked about how she hated living with them, but she couldn't afford to move out. I, without skipping a beat, asked her to move in with me. My lease was ending, and I was already looking at this two-bedroom place outside the town that isn't too far away from her college and my work. We talked about it all night until finally she agreed with me that she would. Her biggest fear was she didn't have much money to help with the lease, which wasn't an issue to me seeing as I was planning on moving there with her or without.
After she moved in, the first 3 months were amazing. Everything went smoothly. She was happy, I was happy. We were learning to live with each other and grow with each other. I knew. After she moved in, the first 3 months were amazing. Everything went smoothly. She was happy, I was happy. We were learning to live with each other and grow with each other. I knew I was going to marry her. Until things started getting weird. In the last 9 months, looking back in hindsight, there were dozens of instances that just felt off or out of nowhere. For example, she had met my parents, which my mom loved her for, but I never met hers. When I asked her about it, she started to tear up and explained to me that they died when she was in middle school. She was on a field trip at school, and when she got back, her parents weren't there to pick her up. After waiting a while, she said a cop came up to her and told her that her parents died in a car wreck. Apparently, on their way to pick her up, a semi T-boned them, running a red light, and they died on impact. She lived with her grandma until she was 17, and sadly, her grandma got cancer and passed away right before her 18th birthday. I found it strange that after a year and a half, she was just now telling me, but I just assumed it was a touchy subject and left it there. Another strange thing I noticed is she didn't really have friends, nor was interested in making them. I never heard any stories about them other than a classmate saying something funny or dumb in class. I tried to set up a double date with Andrew and Christy, the girl he met at the bar, but she usually had an excuse of being too tired from school or it not being the right time. It always felt like the only person she hung out with was me. In the last 2 months, she started to become distant. It wouldn't be anything major. She just talked less, focused less on conversation. She didn't want to go on walks that much. She stayed late at school to study. She missed dinners more frequently, and most of the time, I wouldn't see her until I woke up in the morning and she was in bed next to me. I was planning on talking to her about this haze she was in, but I was praying that it was something harmless, like her finals just eating up her time or stress of graduating afterwards and seeking employment. Our relationship was pretty solid, so I didn't think it was her cheating on me or breaking up with me. However, I started to get worried the more and more she came home late, or how much she slept during the day. She slowly stopped eating more than some fruits and snacks. I was worried she was getting sick, so I begged her to see a doctor to get a checkup. After a couple of weeks of her saying she was fine but clearly wasn't, she gave in and told me to make an appointment. That appointment was set for last week, August 1st. It was set for 9:30 a.m., which doesn't seem early, but for two night owls, it was a rough wake-up. I got up to the alarm and went to roll over to wake her up, and she wasn't there. I figured she just didn't sleep well and woke up early, so I got up, got dressed, and headed into the living room. No sign of her. I started to call out her name to be met with the silence of an empty apartment. I walked outside to see if she was out there or took our car somewhere, and our car was still there. I started to freak out a little. I went to call her, but when I went to my phone, her name wasn't in my contacts. It confused me because how could I accidentally delete a contact? I quickly dialed her number manually, only to be met with, "This line has been disconnected or is out of service." I started to tear up. At this point, I assumed she ran away or something. It was the only logical excuse I had. But why go through the effort of deleting my contact in my phone just to disconnect hers? Why would she just leave? Nothing in our relationship was going badly, and I thought after all we'd been through together, I at the minimum deserved a note or a conversation. Hell, an email. Just something. My brain went into full force, so I called Andrew. He picked up, still hungover from the night before. I could tell because he was still slightly slurring his speech.
Bro, why you calling so early? You know I was at a party last night. Bro, she left. Disconnected her phone. Deleted her contact in my phone. She left, man. She just left. Who left? Mary. Who else? Calm down, man. First off, who's Mary? Are you fucking with me right now? This is not the time to mess with me. Dead ass, dude. I don't know who Mary is. I'm not messing with you. My heart sank on that sentence. I was so confused, my mind racing 1,000,000 miles a second, and none of it was making sense. What do you mean you don't know Mary? She's my girlfriend, the one I live with, the girl at the bar. We've been dating for 2 years. Dude, you haven't dated anyone since Jessica. Are you okay? Did you take any drugs last night? Do I need to come over there? I just hung up the phone. I just couldn't in that moment. I needed to go look for her. The first place that came to mind was the college. I sped over there as fast as I could and ran into the lobby of the main building. "Hi, can I help you with anything?" Yeah, I said in the calmest demeanor I could muster. "I'm looking for my girlfriend. I was seeing if she had any classes today or something." "What class would she be in and what's her name?" "Mary Fulbright. And I think the earliest class would be psychology with Professor Jackson." She started to clack on her keyboard for what felt like eternity. "Well, psychology class won't start until noon, and Professor Jackson won't be here until 10, but I don't see any Mary Fulbright on the attendance register." "What do you mean? She's working on her master's right now. She's been going to this college for 5 years now. How could she not be on the registration?" "I don't know, sir, but I don't see her here. You can ask Professor Jackson when he arrives. If you want to go to his room, it's room 312 in Building C." I sprinted out there and found the building and the room. I sat there trying to slow my shaking down. I could barely breathe. A mixture of fear and confusion was raging through my body to the point where it was the only thing I could notice. I barely caught Prof. Jackson as he walked by me. I rushed to him. "Hey, I'm so sorry to bother you. The receptionist lady told me you'd be here soon. I was asking about my girlfriend, wondering if you'd know her. She takes your first class. Mary Fulbright?" "Who?" he responded, caught off guard and confused. "Mary. She's getting her master's. You've been her teacher for 2 years. "I'm sorry, I don't know a Mary. Do you have a picture of her?" I grabbed my phone and opened my gallery. I started looking through the images, and all of her pictures were gone. Any selfie she sent that I'd screenshotted just wasn't there. Then I noticed something strange. "We went to a national park last weekend," I requested the day off. "We had a stranger take a picture of us in front of a statue at the hub. Her idea. I have that picture, but she wasn't in it. I was just standing there smiling by myself. I almost dropped my phone. At this point, I was breaking. I looked up at the professor and apologized and excused myself before I was about to fall apart. I sprinted outside. My breath was out of control. Nothing felt real. I scrolled through my entire phone and nothing. Any pictures we were in together, it was just me. Some I was even doing a weird hand placement, like I was resting my arm on an invisible person. Nothing of her just there. I called my mom in a panic, just trying to get something to ground me. She's met her dozens of times. She has to know. It rang and rang and rang, and finally, "Hey, sweetie, what's up? You okay?" "Hey, Mom, do you know Mary Fulbright?" "No. Am I supposed to?" "Oh, okay. Thanks anyway. I'll talk to you later. Love you." I quickly hung up the phone.
I spent the last week looking for any evidence of her existing. It felt like my mind was fractured and nothing was real. Maybe Andrew was made up. Maybe my job was made up. Maybe this is like Shutter Island and I'm in a mental hospital. I felt like I should be in one. Hell, I was about to check myself in if it wasn't for me going back home and looking at a picture. All the pictures of her weren't there anymore. Like, they never were there in the first place. Our lease only had my signature. All her schoolwork and clothes weren't on the desk or in the closet anymore. I was defeated until I looked at my desk after sitting on the couch shell-shocked like I had just lived through D-Day, trying to figure out why my memory of her was so vivid, so detailed. Until I saw a picture. She wasn't in it, but it was a picture of me on the couch. She loved that picture of me. The thing was, she was the one who took it. If she didn't take it, who did? It was the only evidence I had to show that she was real, and that I wasn't crazy. I've been researching ever since. People's disappearances, people's stories, seeing if there's anyone with something like mine. That's why I'm writing this post. I found a couple of stories online, no connection to Mary, but the people were saying the same thing. Their significant other disappearing out of the blue. Their fear of going insane. Some lost their minds. Others moved on. I found a small group still looking, still believing. I have a ticket to Peru. That's where one of them, someone who is going through something similar, his name is Tom, is at. He said that there's a lead of someone who might know what's going on. A shaman or something. I don't know. I don't care. I will find you, Mary. That's why I'm posting this on Reddit. Mary, if you are reading this by chance, I know you exist. I'm looking for you. I'll find you, I swear. I'm not crazy. I will find you.